HGUC Jesta. Hey again everybody, it's Robert184, 2Rs, 2Bs from YouTube and gundam.tk. Good to have you here. You know, it's always fun to take something from unboxing it, taking the plates, seeing the parts, seeing the mobile suit, and then putting it all together. But in the end, judgments have to be made, and I'm going to give you my opinion on all the good and bad things so that you can make the decision as to whether this might be a kit that you want to see about picking up. Before we get to the good, we should look at the bad first. And the first thing that I'm going to say is, yes, these attachment parts. If you take a look at the backpack as it spins around there, you've got these things up here on the sides that pop off so you can interchange them. But they've got an ugly side and a good looking side, and the ugly side is facing forward. And that problem is only magnified when you put on these two attachments when you want to put the shield on, because they're facing forward with these open parts. And as I said, that's the first thing pro modelers do, is fill in those holes. Bandai, you had a very simple option of just facing it forward, where you're going to be looking at it most of the time. Now, I'm also really disappointed to see that there were going to be a few weight issues with the beam rifle and even the beam saber. And really a beam saber, I know there's a lot of plastic there. However, you don't expect something on a kit this size to be falling forward. If you've got 7 manipulators, have some sort of an attachment down here in the forearm that's going to plug them in. The polycap that they used is obviously not the best one. And speaking of the manipulators, well, you can see the grenades there, and I think that all three of them look really sharp, especially when they're covered up. And actually, you can have them like pulling out pose as he's getting ready to throw them. Now, how cool would that have been if you've got 7 manipulators that you actually had a few extra grenades? It would have been an easy addition to the gray plate. Have the manipulators in hand so that it looks like he's actually ready to throw them. And then if you wanted to cut them off or individualize them, maybe there's something you could do there. Just seems like they have options that they missed out on. Now, in terms of color there on the front, you have a very little bit of orange, and I do like the motif of orange that goes around. I'm talking about the eyepiece and on the sights and on just up there on the helmet, but it would have been nice if they had actually used an orange piece down there. Again, the A plate, it only has 3 colors on there, and when you've only got 3 colors on something, it seems like it's a shame. You can just throw in a 4th color. They could have done a couple different things. They could have added a color variation anywhere on there, but they also could have just given us an orange part down there and an orange sight and a few other ones like that. You get the idea. Now, in terms of other little things, the fact that you open up the manual and they show off a really nicely painted one, showing off the fact that it's got painted feet when in reality down below, it's just got the lines so that you can do your own. It's not in the box, so no real complaint there, but the fact that I'm getting into little things like that shows that I'm getting a little bit nitpicky, and for high-grade Universal Century, it really does do a very good job, especially with the feet. Just again, it would have been nice if they had the color variation so that you put them through and the color variation of the higher part pokes through to the bottom, so you do get that variation without having to paint it. And that's where my other big complaint is with this shield. When you see it on the box, I think it looks really good. When these protrusions, they look like weapons and they look like they are color differentiated. And when you actually see them done, they're not. They could have been gray, they could have been in the blue. The fact that you have to paint that, somewhat disappointing, but again, HGUC, so forgivable. Now, what may not be so forgivable in some people's eyes, though not my own now, is just the actual lack of color in the Gundam itself. When you take a look at this, again, you've just got 3 colors, and that's all you've got. However, you may expect this is a special operations mobile suit. Now, do you really want that to be running around in red, white, blue, and yellow? So maybe they went with the right decision, and the fact that they've got enough color apps, it makes it forgivable for me, but how about for you? It's not all bad though, by a long shot. And I'm going to start off with the fact that they're going to give you the seals and the decals that you need to actually make this look cool. 08MS team style, you've got all sorts of numbers on there that you can splash all over. This is a team, why not show that off? Buy the 3 and differentiate them. And the stickers here, they're all, the fact that I complained about, I would like to have a piece down there, but they gave you a good seal. It's a little bit understated, the orange stands out just enough, and these orange pieces stand out really well, and they've got that little bit of excess if you choose to use it around the head, so that's a winner for me. The big one for the decals is the fact that the beam rifle has 2 front and back. I like it. Now, articulation, I don't know if you've high-grade Universal Century kits, they just come along better and get better. You're talking about the God Gundam, you go back to old things and I see the old gun cannon, and you just shake your head in comparison to what they have got into now for 1/144th kits. What the legs can do, what the arms can do, the fact that he can touch the small of his back, incredible, something you don't expect on a kit this size, but it's something that it's always pleasant when it's there. They do give you a clear eye, which is great. It fits that whole orange motif. Something I guess I could have gone in the complaint section, but maybe a little bit of light piping would have been nice. However, that's nitpicking. The fact that they gave you a clear part and it's not just an ugly sticker is the real winner. The grenades, in terms of looks, I think they look really good when they're down here. You can see them, they're quite obviously facing forward on both sides. The fact that you can have an open pose, a hand on them pose, you can do different things with them. They really add to the military feel of this. Doesn't feel like the guy just has a beam rifle and a shield. As it spins around there, the beam rifle and the weapons in general, they really came to impress me. It is simply three gray pieces of plastic, and that by itself is not going to impress anybody. But the fact that it's got so many channels and deep grooves, and that applies pretty much to the whole kit, but everything about this, it won me over, especially once you put on the two orange seals. And I really like the fact that they have the interchangeable backpacks. I mentioned earlier that I'd like to see that in all sorts of Gundams across similar grades, but the fact that they've at least played up this whole unicorn aspect, the UC kits, the fact that they can change them on and off, it just adds that much extra value to people that have bought a Jagan and a Stark Jagan and Echoes version. You're probably not going to do it because the colors are wrong, but the fact that you can, I like it. Now, in terms of size, this is a 19-meter Gundam, and it's solid. If you do the old shake test, there's really no parts are loose, everything fits together well, it looks good. And this is where I get into the other thing that you wouldn't expect to be in the pros comment, but it's the color details. The fact that you've got the gray on the blue there, and I've already talked about the legs down here, they're solid blue, but because they've got such good channels, but it's the chest and the piping down below and the head with its asymmetry. They've got all the right colors in all the right places, and it was something that I was really worried about when I looked at the box. A pro painting this could make it look great because they'd get all sorts of color variations in there and just tones and things like that. But out of the box, I'm happy with that, and that was my biggest worry going in, and it is alleviated. Now, what else is really good? It's the military look. This is a special operations suit. This looks like a military piece of hardware. The beam rifle adds to that, the head, the backpack, the legs, the grenades, the shield. Everything about this screams military look, and you don't need a lot of lining to bring it out because the color differentiation that they did put in seems to be enough. And this is where the team aspect also comes in for me. I love the 08MS team. The fact that you've got three Gundams working together is a very different dynamic from the typical super robot, Amuro running around and everybody else and just chopping through 20 grunts at a time. The fact that you need three, the fact that they work well, and the fact that they've got a name like the Tri-Stars, in Gundam vocabulary, that's just, it spells win all over the place. And the color, they really suit this whole special ops team. So if you want to support the Unicorn Gundam in all of its fights against Neo Zeon, I don't think anybody's cooler than having this guy on your side. So final verdict for me, yes, Gundam UC in general is lacking a lot of color, and I'm looking at U Delta Plus in particular. This adds to it, but all my worries have been alleviated. But in the end, it's just my verdict, and that's just me. What about you? There's a lot of people who have been building more HGUC kits lately. The grunt suits are always popular, so why don't you let me know how this one stacks up compared to some of the other ones, and just the other HGUC kits in general. For me, seems like a win so far. And anyway, I'm sort of glad that I stepped out of my mold and just tried something different. It makes me want to build more Gundam UC kits in general, because some of them, like the Dryson and things like that, I think they just look fantastic the way they have the old and the new all incorporated together with the common theme of the sleeves and things like that. So the fact that you've got some good Fetty suits to stand up to such cool bad guys in terms of MS designs is great for me. Anyway, everybody, it's been a while, but it's good to be back, and thank you very much for watching this. Everybody who's commented and hit like, it's always appreciated. Why don't you let me know of the reviews and the kit itself? Lots more to come. We've got Gundam Age coming. Gundam UC is going to keep rolling for another year and a bit, so that's always exciting, and it's great to have you here along for the ride. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time. See ya. If you think only grenades are not a problem, just wait till you get pwned by a 1,000 cost Zaku Kai in Gundam Extreme Versus. Then come talk to me.